Welcome to Wisdom of the Way with me, Sai, a podcast to inspire, enliven, and explore Camino wisdom and life wisdom. Join me from my home on the transformative Camino de Santiago in Spain as we share stories and learnings with incredible pilgrims and teachers from all over the world. Welcome back to Wisdom of the Way podcast. Very special guest this week. And if you're into podcasts and the Camino, well, Dan Mullins doesn't need much of an introduction. You're probably familiar with My Camino, the podcast, which when we met, which is a little while ago now, had just passed 1 million downloads, which is an incredible achievement. Amazing. So it's a really beautiful production and contribution to the Camino community. In this meeting, which was a great gift to really be able to have this time together and to meet Dan and understand what moves him about the Camino and what it lights up inside of him and in his music. His music's great. I also invite you to check that out. And it's a conversation that's really open and vulnerable and loving and real. He's a beautiful guy. And it's also great because on this moment we get to, Dan's normally on the other side of the microphone asking the questions, so we get to switch the roles and meet who is Dan Mullins. Hope you enjoy. If you do, feel free to leave a review. Who are you and where are we?
So I'm a 57-year-old father of 3, grandfather of 2. I'm a media executive these days, which sounds fancy, but it's not really. The day job doesn't matter too much to me other than it pays for my household and pays for my family. I first heard about the Camino de Santiago in 2007. I was at my mother's house, and she was doing a doctor of theology, and had a vast library of books, and one of the books was Camino by Shirley MacLaine. And I read it in an afternoon, and I said, I must do that one day. And then I never did. My children then were, I guess, my youngest 2 were 4 and 5 or something. And I quite fancied the idea of, going off on this epic adventure. And my wife said, oh yeah, in your dreams. And anyway, and then in 2010, my little brother Benny, he died very suddenly, and I was back at Mum's, and we were there to mourn him, really. And I saw the book and I read it again, and I said, I'm going to do this, And the boys were a bit older then, and they could kind of understand the concept, I suppose, of me sort of going off and doing something for me. And they were very supportive. And so 6 years later, I was turning 50, and I was going to Rio for the Olympic Games, and in my day job. And then all of a sudden, the salespeople at the radio station messed it all up, and we weren't going to Rio. So they said, I'll just have those 3 weeks off. I thought, 3 weeks off? That's crazy. I have young kids. I can't have 3 weeks off in the middle of the year. And so, as I said, I was turning 50, and so we were going to have a party. And I knew that I'd be paying for everyone. I'd be feeding everyone. I'd be buying all the beers. I'd be playing in the band. I'd be setting up the PA and pulling down the PA the next day. It would be costing me thousands of dollars, And my wife said, why don't you do that silly walk you've always talked about? And I said, I couldn't really do it. I don't know how or why or where or what. And I came home a couple of days later, and the ticket was on the kitchen bench as a gift from my family. And I walked into Santiago on my 50th birthday. So it was magic. I walked from Sahagún, which is exactly halfway of the Camino Frances. It took 3 weeks or something. Yeah. And I've said it many, many times. It changed my life forever. The morning of the first steps on the Camino, you go out from Sahagún, you walk along the roadside beside the poplar trees there, and I can picture it like it was yesterday. It changed my life forever.
Mr. Dan Mullins. Wow, thank you for this opportunity to be here with you and for sharing this journey, this part of this journey. Uh, you're well known in the Camino world. You have a podcast that's just My Camino that's just tipped over 1 million downloads.
Yeah,
Amazing,
yeah.
amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's amazing.
It is incredible, huh? And you're a musician and producer in this world. Here we are sitting in the studios in the center of Sydney. We're a long way from the Camino de Santiago, but we're definitely in the Camino. Um, and I also want to just thank you for this opportunity to be here. I called you a day ago, introduced myself, and we have a beautiful mutual friend, Susie,
Yeah.
and Casa Susie. But you just received me so openly. We're here Sunday morning, and I'm sure you've got lots of things you could be doing. And so thank you for
There's nothing
really,
I'd rather be doing,
yeah,
Simon.
yeah, well, it's wonderful.
Nothing I'd rather be doing. This is so much fun, isn't it?
It's great. I feel like, I was saying to you before, I feel like I've like just walked out on the biggest stadium with, someone who's been playing this game for a long time, and it's like the first time of wow. I don't have to hold the lapel mic to your mouth. It's great.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. No, it's a nice
No, it's
environment.
amazing. So thank you.
Yeah, you're fun.
So that's what brought you to the Camino. The Camino's been a huge part of your life. It continues to be daily, I imagine. You've the podcast. You've had, I think, over 300 episodes, interviews, sharings. I mean, phenomenal. Firstly, like, how many times have you walked the Camino in Spain or Portugal or wherever it is? But like walked, and what keeps you going back? Why do you continue? You said it's changed your life, but why do you continue to live this experience and share this experience?
Well, the one word I use is love.
Mm.
Now, there are very few times, I think, in this modern world where you genuinely get time for yourself. It could be a selfish kind of perspective in a way. But when you're on the Camino, what I find, if I want to just be alone, I can be genuinely alone. Let those people walk in front of me. Let those people drop back behind me. It's just me. And it's just my thoughts and my heartbeat and the crunching of the feet beneath you. At that pace, that crunch, 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 crunch. It doesn't stop. And so you find yourself able to slide into a rhythm. And I find in that rhythm a real, I don't know if the word is solace, but it's a genuine place for me where I feel really alive in my most relaxed state. So you're so excited internally, but so relaxed externally. And so just crunch, 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 crunch. And if you want to take time to talk to somebody, you will. If you don't want to, you don't have to. So you're all alone. So I walked that first Camino in 2016, changed my life forever. I went back the following year. I think I did 375 kilometers the first year. Second year, I went back and walked from Lourdes all the way to Santiago, exactly 1,000 kilometers. I did the Frances. And then just last year, last September, I went back and walked from Via Franca del Bierzo to Santiago with my family, with my wife and my two youngest sons, which was magic, absolutely magic. And so that's just 3. Really, I'm just a novice. There's people who've walked so many more times than me. But when I talk about, or when you said, Simon, what brings you back, it's that yearning for the simplicity of being able to, if I want to, find myself alone and find the space, the time and space to really do a little bit of exploration. And plus, the other thing I really, really love about the Camino is sitting under the trees in the late afternoon in a cafe with a bunch of other pilgrims having a beer and telling stories and hearing their stories. I
Mm,
love that.
mm,
I love it.
mm,
And learning. Where are you from? What? What? And who are you? What are you? What are you about?
mm,
And I just love it. It's almost like everybody brings their best self to
mm,
that table as the sun goes down those long Spanish afternoons. They want to share their stories and tell their stories. I just love it.
mm. Beautiful. I want to, before it gets too far away,
Mm.
I, just go back to something that you shared about love and also this experience of, rhythm, which is often what I wake up to.
Mm. Yeah.
Like literally, someone's pulse going past, and like, time to get up, maybe. But did you, previous to that, in the 50 years before that, did you have access, or was there something where you could find that rhythm, that silence, or that connection with love in that way? And I'm asking this because I think it's really interesting. I mean, here we are, and we're in the centre of Sydney. It's the fastest place in our country of Australia. Yeah, you live in a world that, and you've been intensely engaged in radio and production. On the go daily, in and out, big programs, fast intensity, have to deliver. And in our cultural context of as a man, um, and our society, just wondering, what was there something before, previous to the Camino, that could bring you or invite you into that experience, that type of experience of love, and even to understand it as love, in that connection with self.
Probably not.
Mm.
Obviously, family.
Mm.
There's nothing quite like holding a child in your
Mhm.
arms that's freshly born.
Mm.
That's an extraordinary love. Extraordinary love. And I still hold that love for those 3 children today. I was only just telling one of them last night, and his friend and girlfriend were listening to the story. He said, "I've heard this story so many times before," but as I turned, he started to cry. So that's true love. But no, I think music really, Simon, has been a place for me. So I'm one of 11 children, so I didn't really have much. Not dissing my mum and dad at all, because they were so busy, incredibly busy, and difficult to give a lot of love to people. That's just the way it goes.
Mm.
Not complaining. It's
Mm.
just life. But I found a way that I could kind of stand out, but was playing music. And so my little brothers and I, we played music. That's how we kind of did what we did. And we played together. It's nothing like the love of playing music with your brothers and singing harmonies with your brothers. Nothing like it. Barry Gibb said in the How Can You Mend a Broken Heart, the recent documentary about the Gibb brothers, and he said when they sang in the Bee Gees, they knew that they could take on the world because of the harmony of those brothers. And Noel Gallagher said the reason why the Oasis was so successful was the harmonies of the brothers.
Mm.
And when you with your brothers singing like that, that's true love.
Mm.
So that was really my childhood, was playing songs and yearning to learn more songs. And that's what I did. I could sit at the end of the bed and learn a song, and that was finding true love.
Mm.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Playing,
Yeah.
learning how to play Feelin' Groovy the way Paul Simon played it on the record, I can still
That's
play it.
awesome.
I'm going to play it this afternoon.
That's cool. So just on the side note, this afternoon you've got a gig here in town, and so music is your passion, huh? Or one of, at least. But you've written songs about the Camino, and I imagine being able to access that those places of connection and feeling with yourself. Is that how it is for you? Is music and the creativity part of that intimate experience of life and the gift that you bring to the world?
Yeah, yeah. Um, I love it more now than I've ever loved it. I played on Friday night. It was St. Patrick's Day, and I
Hmm.
played in an Irish bar. And I mean, I don't play Irish songs. And halfway through the second song, which was "Take It Easy" by the Eagles, this lady took off her hat and had a shamrock on it. She's pointing to it, play some Irish songs. I said, "Give me a break," like. So I did play some Irish songs, but when you get into the groove and you have to put yourself, it's a really quite an extraordinary thing, but when you have to really expose yourself to, you have to really open up to let them in.
Mm,
But when you do and they come in, there's no feeling like it.
mm,
Having 150 people in a jam-packed pub singing along with every word that you're singing. And I've a wireless guitar. I can walk around the pub. I walk up to the bar and order a beer. You can imagine, Simon, right? They go berserk. And they're singing at the top of their lungs. The whole
mm,
place
mm.
is nothing quite like it.
Yeah.
And so that's what will happen this afternoon. And I have to go with a mindset. There's absolutely no point doing it if you're thinking, I'm just going to do this for myself today.
Mm,
No, no.
mm,
I have to go there with the mindset I'm doing it for them.
mm.
I have to open up and invite them in. And once we all get together collectively, celebrate the joy and love
Mm,
of live music. It's
mm.
fantastic. There's
Yeah.
nothing like it. There's nothing like it. It's amazing.
How beautiful also that that's a great mantra for life, not about really about what am I bringing to this moment? What's the purpose of this? If I'm doing it just for me, where does this go to or get to? If
Well, it's boring.
exactly.
I don't know. Why would you do it?
Yeah.
And I have friends who are musicians, and I go and see them play, and I think, why are you playing this song?
Mm,
Why are you playing this 11-minute version of this song? This is purely, and everybody's just ignoring them.
mm.
And I'm thinking, man, what are you doing? Give something to these people. Give something to them. And they'll give something much more valuable back to you. And that's love. And it's really funny because when you do get that energy back, they all come and say to you, "Oh, that was great. Thanks, Dan. Thanks, that was great." And you're thinking to yourself, right, the whole time,
Thanks, man.
yeah, right? You're thinking to yourself the whole time, you don't understand how much I get out of it. I just go home feeling amazing.
That's fantastic. But I feel like this is really relevant to life with whatever we're doing. Yeah, the transformative aspect of when we change our focus or perspective or understanding of the reason we're doing something, whatever our job or role is. That this thing of like, how am I serving this moment? What am I bringing to this moment, rather than what am I getting from it?
Mm,
And yeah, I feel like that is like a great invitation for us to be able to do it here, for example, in your workplace or wherever it might be. What and I'm curious on this because sometimes, as we're just talking about, sometimes people are walking with this kind of intention on the Camino to not just give back, but to share, to celebrate, to walk with an open heart in
mm,
gratitude.
mm.
Mm, and I'm kind of curious. It's following on from what your few experiences, different experiences that you've had on the Camino with different at different moments of your life with different company. When you go to the Camino or return to the Camino, do you walk with a particular intention? Is it has it, if so, has it changed over those years?
No,
Mm,
I don't go with a particular intention. And no, it hasn't changed. So that's the short answer. But the long answer is that when I first stepped out on the Camino, it was adventure, right?
Mm.
I didn't really know much about what pilgrimage is or what pilgrimage can offer.
Mm.
But as the more I walked, the more I learned. And once I learned, the more I expected and hoped that I would learn. So I remember one of the very first nights, I was sitting on the roof of an albergue with a Dutch man smoking cigars, and he was saying, "Oh, my wife is downstairs. She's dying of blood cancer. She wanted to walk the Camino as a kind of like a farewell to life." And I said, "What's that like?"
Mm.
He said, "What do you mean?" And I said, "What's that like?" He said, "What sort of question is that?" And I said, "Well, what's it like to be walking with someone who's dying and that person that you love?" He said, "Nobody's ever asked me that." And so we talked. He talked for like an hour and answered that question. Took like an hour.
Mm.
Like 4 cigars,
Mm.
2 bottles of red wine,
Mm.
kind of vibe, right? And the next day, he gave me a big hug as he left, and he said, "Thank you for asking that question." And I said, "Oh, it's my pleasure. I didn't know. I didn't know. What is this phenomenon of people talking like that? I didn't know." But of course, as the more Caminos I've walked and the more kilometers and miles I've walked, I realize it's really a part of the overall perception and plan of the thing, is that it provides an opportunity for us to open up and to share and for us to listen. And I've talked about this hundreds of times on my podcast, that sometimes you just need to listen. And sometimes all you need is for someone to listen.
Mm.
And so that's where I found my rhythm in many respects was just like, when you say what you expect, that's what I expect. I expect to sit around and maybe you're just all telling funny stories, making one another laugh. And there's nothing quite like a table full of pilgrims laughing. But maybe sometimes somebody will pull you aside and say, "Can I walk with you tomorrow?" Or you might say, "Can I walk with you tomorrow?" Because you know that you want to talk and you want to hear them and you want to listen to them. And that's happened to me many times now.
Mm.
And that is the true gift of the Camino. The opportunity to listen. And that's what I expect when I go back. That's what I look forward to.
Mm.
Singing songs is fun. Someone will have a guitar, or there's a guitar somewhere. I was just in, actually, in
There's a
Saria.
guitar at our place. Actually,
Is
when
it?
you come
Right
to
on.
us,
Okay, I'm
or
there. I'm there.
3.
And when there's I can't remember the name of the place, but as you go up the hill in Saria, before you turn right up to the monastery, up to there's a little
Yeah,
cafe on the
it
left.
used to be Matthias Locanda, the pizza place.
Right. They have a guitar on the wall there.
Yeah.
That's what I was playing. I've played there 3 times. And each time they say at the end of the night, "Don't
Was
worry."
it pink?
It
Then?
was pink.
Yeah,
The pink guitar. And singing for all the pilgrims is there. It's just so when you ask me, what do you expect?
Mm.
I expect lots of just talking. And what I hope for is that I'm able to listen.
Mm. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. What else? You spoke about learning on the Camino, and obviously this aspect of listening.
Mm.
Anything else that comes to mind? What else have you learnt on the Camino that served you in your journey in life?
Well, the first and foremost is that I'm a deeply flawed human being.
Mm.
Deeply flawed. I'm never going to be perfect. I'm never going to be right. I'm never going to be whole. I'm never going to be accepted or believed or understood. But I can be loved. And that's what I've learned above all else, I think. And I think we are too tough on ourselves. I really do. I really think if we started to love ourselves a bit more will provide an opportunity to love others more. And if we forgive ourselves more, it'll provide an opportunity for us to forgive others as well. And when we see the flaws in ourselves, it's much easier to forgive the flaws in others. And again, I say I'm a deeply flawed human being. I've made lots of mistakes. I still make lots of mistakes. But I like to think that because of the Camino, I've learned a lot of lessons. And if via those lessons I can make things easier for somebody else, then that's a gift I think I ought to give, and give often. But as I say, I'm still in the process of getting better at it because I'm not very good at it.
It's a Camino, isn't it? It's a journey.
It's a pilgrimage.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a pilgrimage, and take the bumps and skids and skinned knees and all the rest of it, and try to enjoy each step, because one day there'll be no more steps.
And maybe that question is, am I interested in being perfect, or am I interested in growing? There's such a different essence in that focus.
Yeah.
And so I also want to ask you how, because how do you feel helps to be able to accept oneself, be compassionate with oneself and with others, obviously, experience love, go beyond the judgment, because it's absolutely beautiful what you said, and I feel like we can really connect with that. We can really connect with the wisdom of that. But how we do it is the real challenge. Is there, or are there particular ways that you try to remain mindful of that, or are there the things that put you in that experience? On the Camino, there is the possibility of having all that space where one's walking, one has time, or there's the mirror, or the reflection of someone else showing us or inviting us to connect with that space, to chew on it, to really get the flavor of compassion or acceptance. Is there something for you that helps you remind you to come back to that choice?
That's a really, really good question. And nobody's ever asked me that. And I knew what you were going to ask. And as you were asking it, I'm thinking, I don't know if I have an answer to that. However, I think it's music. I think it's music. I think my connection with music is in two parts, right? I'm analyzing it all the time. So if I'm listening to a song on the radio, the first thing I'm thinking is, can I play this song? Secondly, would the punters love this song? Third, okay, he goes into that, like that's the seventh chord that he's go to there before the chorus. That's really interesting. Wonder why he or she has gone to a seventh. Oh, because it's a seventh opens the door, right? Okay, so that's why I'm thinking about it, right? So I think music. So when you say try to be kind and try to be loving and try to be that person, that best person that you find on the Camino, how do you make that kind of your life and not something that you have to do? I think it's music. I think it's music. I think about it all the time. I work in a radio station.
Yeah.
Right? And there are two floors. One is a rock and roll radio station, and the floor above is a pop music station. So I walk between the two. So I'm listening to, this is a good song. I should play this song. Upstairs, this is a terrible song. I can't stand the song. Oh, that's a good song. I'm listening to it all the time. And I'm always thinking about what I'm going to do and how I'm going to sing for people and entertain them, right? And by and large, that's my connection. Okay, so my family knows me as dad, as granddad, as husband, a hardworking guy. Really doesn't have a hair trigger temper or anything like that. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm a pretty chilled sort of human being. But and that's who they know and love, right? So that's kind of easy to be that guy because they're wonderful people and I love them forever. But when I go into the community, it's often as the musician, right? So that's easy to be a nice guy, a loving and caring person. So I get in the Uber and I say, "Hey man, how you doing?" And they go, "Oh, you're a musician. Yeah. How cool, you know?" It's easy to be that guy. You get to the pub or the venue and you unload "Oh, you're the musician. Oh, how, easy to be that guy." When I travel, I can be in the cafe in Saria, pull the guitar off the wall. All of a sudden, you're no longer that guy. You're a musician. So you can be, "Hey, I can sing you a song. Oh, wow, that's so fantastic." So I would say music makes me that kind of person, reminds me of love. Music reminds me of so much. Just this week, twice this week, I had requests from people who wanted the chords and the words to Somewhere Along the Way, my Camino song, right? Twice. Once was in Wisconsin. They were having a shell ceremony, and someone wanted to play it on the piano while they were giving the shells. And another, I hope that I won't tell who and where because it's a surprise for someone. But someone asked for them. Better not say anymore because they'll be listening. But it's a. How can you not just be absolutely delighted with something like
What
that
an honor
in your
really.
life?
What an honor.
I mean, it blows me away that people reach out to me. So yeah, I would say being a musician reminds me of being that good guy and that person that the Camino brought to the surface. Yeah, music.
What a great gift. And what I'm really getting from that is through the music, that connection, connection with self, connection with purpose, connection with life that is, with this moment that's in front of you. And when we're connected, and I also feel essentially, but that's what we're looking for. That's in our lives when we're doing things. We're looking for connection one way or another. Sometimes it's through devices and through things that maybe don't support you know
Yeah.
intimate or in person connection or whatever it is. But I feel like that's our kind of reference in the world of like connection is magnetic.
Yeah.
What I'm doing, I do because I'm seeking that connection with myself and with life. And I really feel that in your music. Uh, I would love to ask you what I mean. You've spoken with hundreds of people, like literally recorded that um, on your podcast, but also just with the Camino community around the world. What? So there's a lot of wisdom that you've had access to. Um, what would be your advice for someone going to the Camino, if you had any?
Don't have any expectations. Just be. That's it. Just let the walking do the talking, and everything else will fall into place. Just go and don't have any expectation. Don't go expecting that it's going to change your life or you're going to have this amazing mystical experience. Don't worry about any of that. Just go and put the backpack on and be. Let the walking do the talking.
I like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, as one has experiences, whatever they are, and often we see that many people do have deep experiences, that things are awoken, or the connection is deepened, or there's inspiration. How, and we were talking a bit about this, because it's also the premise of with this podcast, with Wisdom of the Way, and the project is really being able to accompany people or invite people to integrate these experiences, to live them, to return home. And I was saying to you, like in my experience, that's what I see in meeting thousands of people over 10 years on the Camino. Probably the biggest opportunity, probably the biggest missed opportunity is that these huge life experiences, some people do it very well and they take time to integrate it and they're quite aware of it. And sometimes some people are just rushing to get to the plane in Santiago and onto the next thing, and that's all good too.
Yeah.
Um, what advice would you have for? Well, firstly, is there something that you do to return home or bring the experiences that you've had? And obviously, having a podcast and you know, connecting with people and sharing these things, I'm sure must keep you really tuned in with your experiences on the Camino and what you've lived. But is there something that you do when you return home from these journeys or the last journey? And what advice would you have for someone, as they arrive to it's not really the destination, but to that point, let's say it could be Santiago Fistera or wherever,
Yeah.
and return home.
Yeah. So I often think of it like this, that if I can take just a little bit of my best me, just a little bit of my best me and take it home with me. So you might not know. You might find yourself sitting in a cafe in Samos or in Tricostella or focusing on your part of the world.
Yes, Amos.
Or Burgos or somewhere, right? Nahira or somewhere. And you're chatting to someone and you're thinking, I think I've got some advice. I think I can share some experience with this person, something I've been through that might help them. And you have a chat, and afterward they say, thank you so much for talking to me and listening to me, and they give you a hug, and you think, wow, that was really a powerful moment. Well, that doesn't have to just be on the Camino. That power in that powerful moment can be every day, man. It can be every day. And if you say to the lady at the checkout or the Uber driver, or you might say to the person behind the bar, thank you. Thank you so much. And they pick up your plates or they put the plate in front of you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I think that little bit of giving back can make such a difference in people's lives. When you say to the Uber driver or the taxi driver, I hope you stay safe, man. I really do. That means so much to them. That means so little to you. So that chat that you had in the cafe in Burgos, when all you did was listen, but you gave through your actions so much to that person. That's what I try to do here and now. I try to be generous, just with my everything. So if it's like I try, man, I'm not very good at it, but I'm getting better at it. And so at least I'm trying, because there's a lot of people in pubs and clubs where you play and they're very drunk and they're very aggro and it can be very challenging. But I always try to be the nicest guy in the room. And I'm sure that a lot of the venues I play at, they've booked me because of that. Oh, he's a nice guy. We really like Dan, Not because he's difficult and he's cranky and he complains about whatever. But I just think if we can be that just a little piece of our best selves when we come home, what a wonderful gift to give to people. Those people around us, the people who love us, the people who hope for us, the people who expect from us, the people who want us to be our best selves, but often we can't be our best selves because it's a bloody hard thing to do, to be your best self. Everybody knows that. Everyone listening here right now is saying, actually, you know what? I'd love to be my best self all the time, but I can't be. It's a ridiculous expectation.
Mm.
Maybe I can try. And in trying, then I'm sure people around you will see that you're trying.
Mm.
And they'll come to know and love that. And that's what I try to take home with me. And that's how I try to bring a little bit of the Camino back with me.
Mm. Dan, thank you.
Oh, my
Beautiful.
pleasure.
It's amazing. Yeah, and really, I mean, I feel in that what you're sharing, it's that listening, that intention. It's around presence, like being, like saying things and meaning it, being with someone, like feeling that person in whatever that moment is. And it might seem something so simple as listening.
Presence is the greatest present.
100%.
100%. If you can genuinely be there.
Mm.
Yeah. We're going to finish this interview with a hug too?
Of course. Muchas gracias for tuning in. Wisdomoftheway.com is where you can sign up for our newsletter for transformative walking retreats, courses, and free practices. Also, please leave a review and share this podcast with your friends so that we can bring you more stories of these inspiring Caminos. Many blessings for your inner and outer journey.